How are you today?
Good.
Nice. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for being interested in the Face Urchins.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to it. I got a nice package from Don. I got all the Face Urchins, so at least four of
Oh,
them. And just been listening to it. I'm loving the record. So thank you for making it and thanks for sending it over.
oh, you're welcome. And
Yeah,
we,
looks like you're a teacher, huh?
yeah, I'm at school right now. Yeah, I teach high school math
Oh,
and science in Northern California.
oh nice. How long have you been doing that?
Um, for about 25 years.
Wonderful. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And I'm guessing you like it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We got a nice little school up here. It's in Leggett, which is in northern Mendocino, and it's a small school. Great kids, just, you know, we're here in the middle of the redwoods and
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Woo, that's so
So,
cool.
so we're out in the country.
Nice, nice. Well, we'll wait for Don to join us, but I know you guys have been a band for 30 years, or this has been a project for 30 years. Have you both been involved in it for that long?
Yeah, actually we have. We started off as just a little duo. He played acoustic guitar and I played a harmonica, and we just did songs that Don wrote and started singing together. And then we decided that we would play some coffee shops in Modesto's where we got our start. And so we played together live for a couple years, and I incorporated a analog synthesizer into the band, and um, we probably played once a month for 2 years straight, and recorded a few. Like we've been into recording ourselves for a long time. We had a cassette recorder that we plug into our PA system, and I think Don bought a Fostex 4-track recorder back then, way back when when it was on tape. So
Nice.
we'd make some cassette tapes of our originals of our first couple albums. And we've always been interested in getting our work out to radio stations. So we've done that in the past. And in fact, I I volunteer at a radio station here here in California called KMUD, and it's 91.1 FM. How long have you been a DJ?
I have been a DJ, it'll be 9 years in November, which is wild. Goes by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of station is Wizard?
WZRD is a freeform station. So we are totally all genres, don't play the hits. Uh,
Hmm.
kind of like, we've been a station since 1974, so we're celebrating 51 years, which is so great. And it's in the lower level of Northeastern Illinois University, so it's partly a college station. It's funded by the college, which is great, but we're kind of our own entity, and there's like 20,000 records plus 20,000 CDs. We pride ourselves on physical media. So it's a lot of fun. As you know, at KMUD, it's fun to be a station, be on air and be able to connect with people, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I did. I've done a variety of shows. I've been on the air a long time, like 20 years. And I started with well, when I moved up to Humboldt, my roommate, I was a roommate of a guy who had a show on KMUD. So I went with him Wednesday evenings at 10 and just kind of sat there and checked it out. And he played this kind of weird, he called it collage music. He would do all these weird mixes of this and that. It wasn't necessarily musical. It was just like lots of Negative Land and bizarre kind of punk rock. And so that went on for a few months. And then I decided, well, hey, why don't I get my community radio license and I'll join you. So I did. And then I started subbing his show. And then he ended up moving away. And so I took over his time slot and I played progressive rock, progressive space rock, like um, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Genesis, Yes, Hawkwind, those kind of space rock bands. And
Nice.
and I did that for a long time. And then um I ran out of music. It's old music. And so I like, well, I've played these albums like, 5 or 6 times, so something different. So then I hooked up with my current partner and we got into hip hop music. And so that time slot morphed into a hip hop show for another 6 years. And so we played mostly old school hip hop from like the early 90s, conscious hip hop. And then we just got too tired because the show went from 10 to midnight and I wasn't getting to bed till like 1 o'clock in the morning and stuff. And
Yeah.
so we ended that. And then there happened to be a children's music show, Children's Stories and Music, which was on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9:30. And so I I did that and I've been doing that for a very long time, probably, I don't know, 18 years or something.
Wow.
So I play all these little kid musics and I read a story on the air and that's a lot of fun because it's just goofy songs and I read kind of books like classics like Winnie the Pooh and Wizard of Oz and that sort of stuff. So that's been really great and I really enjoy that show. But it's funny though, because most of the feedback I get is from like middle-aged women.
Yeah.
That's like my target audience. I thought it was kids, but I don't know.
I love that. That's great. Oh man. And almost 20 years on air. That's a really cool thing. And it sounds like you've, done all different things. So it keeps it fresh, right? Um, you're obviously not doing kid stuff 10 to midnight. You get to do it at a normal hour.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. And then I was gonna say, so what is the premise of K-Mud itself? Is it just um anything goes, progressive rock, or what's the like format for you guys?
Yeah, it's probably a lot like your station. It's a community radio station, so it's all volunteers. There's a few paid staff, like they got a station manager, a program director, and I think a technical person. And it's just people from the community that have come in there and they play what they want. So it's a whole eclectic mix of reggae, punk rock, hardcore, country, news talk shows, probably a lot kind of similar to your format.
Cool.
And so you might listen to classical music for 2 hours, and then the next show is like heavy metal, you know?
I love that. That's that free form nature where you don't know what you're gonna get, and it's all different. It's all everybody's kind of passions mixed together, and it's very cool. Nice. I'll have to check it out. There's so many stations. People said radio was dead years ago and it's dying, and it's like, I don't think so. I think with the like podcasts rising and people wanting to listen audibly still,
Yeah.
is still great, and there's a lot of stations. I mean, you could just like literally, I think there's some website like Radio Garden or something like that where it'll show you websites, or I'm sorry, radio stations from all over the world. So it's just like a globe and you spin it and you could just pick, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
all these different spots. So I'm gonna put K-Mud on my radar because it's nice just to kind of stream something from somewhere else and hear what people are into.
Yeah, I totally hear that because I've streamed Wizard a few times, and it's what I've heard is really cool. And
Thanks.
um, I know your show has played Face Urchins, so Don will send me a little archive recording or something like that from the stuff that you've done. And yeah, so our music is pretty much geared towards K-Mud and Wizards radio stations. I don't think commercial radio would necessarily play it, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
You guys you're in more of a urban setting, aren't you?
Yeah,
I'm in
we're in
Chicago.
Chicago proper. Yeah. Uh, it's cool. Yeah. And you're right. Like, there's still a lot of community stations, a lot of different stations that will play experimental music. And I'm grateful for that. So happy to play Face Urchins. Very happy to play it. This new record, tell me what it's called and tell me why you called it this.
Well, it's called Technologue, and probably Don could speak to that more than
Yeah.
I can. He is the main songwriter. He comes up with the genesis of the idea, which is generally um, him and his acoustic guitar, and he'll put together a song, and he'll send it to me with just his voice and guitar, or sometimes he'll add some effects or other types of loops and stuff. Sometimes he'll produce it a little bit more, and then it comes to me, and um, I I can either take it as is and add something, or I can just totally deconstruct it and build it back up again into something else. And so Technologue was a lot like that. He sent me files. It takes about a year to make one of those albums.
Okay.
And so he just sent me various songs, and I keep some stuff that he puts in there, and other stuff I throw out and put in my own stuff. And it's all produced on GarageBand.
Wow.
And we've been so kind of the how that started was um, when we both lived in Modesto. I moved away to come up to Humboldt, and so it kind of like broke up the band. And for a long time we never saw each other. We never got together. And then I found him on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace?
I do.
Okay. He had a little MySpace page, and he had this song on it called Call My Name. And so I played it, and I'm like, oh wow, it's Don and he's playing a song. And so I got out my harmonica and I started playing to it. And I thought, well, this is kind of fun. So I did that a few times, and then I emailed him or DM'd him, whatever it was called back then. And I said, hey, Don, you might notice this one song's getting a lot of plays because I'm playing it a lot and playing my harmonica to it. And so the next thing I know, he sends me the song through the internet. And um, we got the idea of putting that into GarageBand, and then I could record my harmonica part on that.
Mm.
I did, and then we realized with GarageBand, if you know anything about it, it's got all these different instruments that you can play along, and so we built this song called "Call My Name." And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. Once we heard that, it was like, whoa, this is cool. We can put together music and not even, be in the same room. So he kept sending me files, and I kept throwing stuff into him. And before you knew it, I think it was about 15 years ago, uh, we had a little album called Opinion Box. And uh, so that came out, and it was all self-produced. It was nothing mastered. It was just mixed on GarageBand. And so we produced our own copies, and I have some graphic design skills, so I made a little cover for it, and we put a label on the CD, and we just kind of gave them out to people. And we sent them to the radio stations. But I realized that there's a certain um, volume level that radio stations need, and I mean, if you were to put on one of our homemade CDs, you'd have to crank the pot way up. And
Yeah.
so, and it wasn't mastered or anything, it was just, so we did that. But then Don booked a concert for us in San Francisco to celebrate that release of that album. And it was at the Mariana Abramov. I can't remember how to say her last name, but was a fairly famous performance artist, and she had a gallery in San Francisco, and we had our first show outside of our Modesto days in San Francisco. Hi, Don.
Hey, Don. Wow, that's really wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
Totally homemade back then, huh?
Don, I'm spilling the beans.
I love it.
Hey,
I
Don.
talked
How are
I
you?
talked about how we started our whole internet connection with your MySpace page.
Yeah, it's about time you come out from under your rock and you do one of these interviews.
Find out who this Dave Wave really is. I love
The
it.
genius behind Face Urchins.
Yeah, he is. I love this.
Yeah.
Cool. And also a radio host and also a teacher. Uh, very, very cool. Yeah, thinking about you talking about the MySpace page and that's how this all started, being able to collaborate from afar is like nothing new nowadays. But back then, that was pretty, pretty progressive, pretty new.
Yeah, it was. And he would send me songs on a CD and I download them. And but if I go back to that first GarageBand version, it's so like basic and like, good God, how did we ever make anything on this thing? And now GarageBand is really quite, it's not the best program to use, but it's pretty complex and there's some really good sounds on there. And so I use both. Um, like I play the synthesizer a lot, so GarageBand has a lot of good synth sounds. There's some realistic drum sounds, and bass is okay. And then we've been able to upgrade our vocals, so we use real mics and all of that. So the sound quality, what the Technologue album you have, that's probably one of our best sounding albums, just from doing so many of these things together that we've learned a lot in our over the years of how to make things sound really good.
It does sound
So
really good. I just had it on my like full speaker set and was like, this sounds so nice and well produced. Uh,
yeah, we get it professionally mastered too. This guy up in Eureka has done a lot of our albums, and he's done a really excellent job. He just seems to know exactly how to make it sound good, like when it appears on YouTube or on Spotify.
He
He
really
doesn't.
knows our music.
He does, yeah. And he doesn't do vinyl. I know we're trying to launch a vinyl album of our greatest hits.
nice.
So that's kind of our next big project.
How many albums are there since 92, do you guys think? Projects. It's hard to say, I'm sure, but
I think there's 15, and I think that the greatest hits is probably going to be the 16th album that we do. But some of the first ones were on cassette
yeah, that's great.
because we're
Congrats.
that old. Yeah.
That's really crazy. Does it feel like it's been 30 years since that moment?
Uh, I don't know.
Well,
We
what
were we were young white collar workers working in a health maintenance organization by day, and then at night we were these crazy musicians that played music in barns and coffee shops and such. So we had kind of a double life. We were these upstanding white collar workers, and
Suit and
then
tie.
yeah, suit and tie.
wow.
I did not have long hair back then. I think I had a beard still, but yeah, we had this double life going on, and it was really, really fun. And we are trying our best to get back to playing together live more often now. It's still a struggle because we don't live in the same town anymore.
Yeah, how far is Santa Cruz from where you're at, Dave?
250 miles maybe,
Okay.
about a 5 hour drive.
Doable, but not like, yeah, you're not in the same space at all, which
Yeah,
was never an issue for you guys, but
we're in the same state, and Don hasn't always been in the same state over the years. So this
yeah,
is this is good. We're really
Trying to
trying
make
to,
the most of it.
yeah, and I think it's coming out quite well. And we
Yeah,
have
we've
this.
never sounded better live, and we're having more live gigs than we've ever had. So I think this is a good step in the right direction.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you guys met in more of like a corporate role. You said it was a health food kind of store or kind of conglomerate.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. So what were your roles? Like what was your positions, each of you?
I
Well, I
was
think that kind of feeds into why we have such a great working relationship because Dave was the communications manager in the marketing department, and I was an account manager, and so we would collaborate on different communications things that Dave had to uh, basically work up and produce. So that's similar to kind of the way we do things now with Face Urchins, where I might have an idea and then I'll send it over to Dave, and then he makes it sound great and professionally produces it and all that. So does that sound right, Dave?
That sounds right.
That's pretty cool that it kind of translates into this, musicianship that you have with each other as well. Um, Very interesting. I love that. So you guys want to tour more. I think I read you guys had a show with K Mud or something like that in June, a block party.
Yeah, they have a annual block party that features lots of local musicians. It's their biggest fundraiser of the year, and it's one of the more popular events in Southern Humboldt. And so it's invitation only. And we got a call from the program manager asking if we'd like to play. So I contacted Don, and he and Ginger were able to make it work out to come up to visit me, and we performed there. It wasn't a very long set, but we got a lot of promotional um, mileage out of it, and some video and photographs and such. And so it's kind of a stepping stone right now for the Sohum community. Like, we're going to try to get into the larger summer arts fair this June, to
Cool.
play at a bigger stage, bigger audience, and I'm not quite sure what's the Museum of Art and History crowd going to be like, Don. What's that space like? I've never been there.
It's a phenomenal space downtown Santa Cruz. November 8th, we'll be playing between 4 and 6 p.m. at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History on their roof.
Oh, cool.
They have a rooftop space. It's really beautiful. It looks over the whole downtown of Santa Cruz, and we're playing with another band called the Fangers, and we're going to open for them. And yeah, it's a really great venue. It's one of the best venues in Santa Cruz, actually.
That sounds great.
So we'll have a lot of great people. Abbott Square is right outside the door of the mall, and it's a public meeting area where they have bands play on a regular basis every Friday night, every Saturday night, and they get about 250 people down there, just dancing and jiving and having a great time. So we're going to catch some of that crowd coming to the mall. They have a big surf show up right now. So the Fangers plays surf music, and we're going to open for the Fangers, which is going to be really great. But the reason why we got asked to do the K-Mud thing is because we get played on the radio a lot on KMUD. They're big fans of Face Urchins. We've been played on the radio there over a long period of time, so I think it was only natural for them to reach out and have us play their block party, which is their biggest event, like Dave said. So we're just, trying to really work the radio airplay and then doing live events around the radio airplay. We're currently being featured on KRML, a local radio station here in Carmel, and we're the local music spotlight for the whole week. So every day of the week they're playing, we get 5 minutes on air where they play a new song off our new album, and then they talk a little bit about us, and they also promote the show that's November 8th at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History. So that's been really great. I think at some point you keep doing what you're doing, and people are gonna figure you out. So we've been getting a lot of people coming to us and asking us to play live sets. So that's been really fun.
That's amazing. I love that. And I think it's got to be nice to hear yourself on the radio, right? It's like a really fun thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you're a big part of that. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Yeah, you've said some very kind words about us on the radio, and that's like so exciting. Like, wow, she just said this about us.
I know. I hear myself back sometimes for other people, and I'm like, this is fun. It's nice, like, commercial radio is great, and I know those same songs 1,000 times, but it's so nice to hear
Exactly.
new things. Nice to hear experimental things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You got a little cough there. Dave, you say that you want to play every instrument. Tell me, what instrument don't you play?
Well, it's a little misleading because with GarageBand, you can play anything you want, and you play it on the keyboard. So I can be a drummer, I can be a bass player, I can be a flautist, a synthesist. I can be all those things with GarageBand because it has all the different loops or sounds or whatever you want to call it. And so, but
Filters.
yeah, but physically, I mostly play a keyboard and a harmonica, and in the last couple of years, a melodica, which is really a nice little instrument that's been added to our sound. Um, but I don't play drums or bass or anything like that on stage. Once in a while, a guitar, but I'm not. I'm still learning that instrument.
That's great
Yeah,
though.
and we have some other people that we can add to the band too when we need to. We have a drummer that we work with, and we also have a bass player who's been in our band off and on for the last 20 years. So we can scale up or scale down however we need to for whatever gig we're doing.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix, because Don's on the acoustic guitar, and then I have like a modern sounding synthesizer going, and it was always kind of like that. I had a Sequential Circuits Pro 1 analog monophonic synthesizer when we started out in the coffee shops, and it was that kind of classic
Pink Floyd,
buzzy,
Dark Side of the Moon.
yeah, that kind of stuff. So we've always had this kind of odd pairing um, with our sound, and that's been true from the beginning, even to today. So if you listen to all of the Face Urchin songs, there's always an underlying kind of folk vibe under there with an acoustic guitar. And then on top of that is usually layered like synthesizer stuff. So it's an interesting mix, and it's just what we do. We didn't like set out to go, oh, let's be weird and let's do this because this will be like unusual. It's just sort of what we both, this is what I played and this is what he played, and then it came together, and we liked what we heard, and other people do too. But it's an odd pairing, I would say. It works, but it's odd.
We're, that's what we're looking for at WZRD. We're always looking for the more odd. So you guys fit right where we want you to, and it's a great thing. I hope one day you can come to Chicago. We would love to have you on the air and play live. We do that every Thursday night. So if you ever this way, come on out and see us.
We'd love to.
Yeah, that would be super great.
Plan on that.
We're honing our live chops these days.
Yeah. So you're saying that when you guys are playing live, it's not just the two of you. Sometimes there's more people. You said there's a longtime bass player. Is it a three piece? Is it a four piece? Or it could be anything, depending on the gig.
It's primarily a two-piece, but we occasionally we will have our friend Pat play bass with us.
Okay.
Or the last when we had the Leisure Fest, we had a a guy, Chris. I forget what his name was. Chris, is that his name?
Derek Smith.
Derek.
Derek
Derek
Smith.
Smith. He played drums on a few songs, but it's hard to rope in other people to our little Face Urchin world because we create these songs, online, so to speak, back and forth that way. And um, and if they play live with us, then there's this, we have to find time to rehearse the songs with those people. And luckily, our bass player, Pat, he's been around so long, he gets us. And so for him to join our group, it's like a no-brainer. He's very comfortable, and we're comfortable with him. And he gets us, and all of that. And lots of songs we've been playing since the beginning. Even in our set today, I know of one song, Yippee that we played that in the 90s.
Love
And we're
that.
we're still playing it today, and it still sounds great. That's off our album Relic,
Yes.
and it's a harmonica, kind of a country-ish tune. Um, Blue is another song that we play a lot even today. And I'm sure there's a few others I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, these are enduring tunes that have sounded fresh all these years. And they're just really great to play. Just like it's so fun to get together and do these songs, especially live. There's there's always that pressure of a live performance, but I think that drives us to be better musicians. And so it's always a little nerve-wracking before a gig, but once it starts going, it's fine. And as long as you rehearse well enough, which
Yeah.
I'm doing right now.
Getting ready for that November gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you you're going to intersperse some of the songs from the new album, is that right? During the interview, is that what you're planning on doing, Megan?
Yes, I am actually. And I had a couple notes on different songs. I wanted to ask you,
Great.
Thomas, what are some of your favorites from the album? If you had
Dave?
one.
Well, yeah, I do have some favorites. I really like For the Sake of Love
Mm.
and Swirling Winds. And if you can't sell it if you don't have it, those are probably three of my favorites. Rattle Them Bones is a super interesting song. Lots of people have been gravitating towards that tune. So those are probably my favorites. I mean, all of them are my favorites, but there's a few that are just I really, really enjoy listening to them over and over again.
Well, the first song off the album is a song that his son is a musician as well, and his son is a very prolific writer of songs, and he's in a band. And I guess Dave got a hold of some of the songs that his son has written, and one of them really caught our ear and thought we could collaborate with him. So that first song on the album is actually a collaboration with his son.
Oh, cool. What's your son's name, Dave?
His name is Spencer, and his band is called 3D Man, and they are up and coming. They're a four-piece kind of post-punk band, and he plays electric guitar, and it's your standard singer, drummer, bass player kind of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, he does write a lot of songs. So it was just one of those things he sent me one day. He's like, "Hey, check this out." And then I put a keyboard over it. And then I think I sent it to Don and he liked it. And then he put words to it. And then it came back to me. And then I massaged it a little bit more. And before you know it, we've got the opening track on our album.
I love it. That's called Biochip, yeah?
Yeah, Biochip. Hmm.
There was some notes I took about that one. I really like the we go tumbling down left and right. I feel like it's a very I'm flowing with the track. It's getting me kind of prepared for this journey that we're going to take throughout. And then at the end, being like, technology is our friend, which I think is an interesting statement. Do you guys want to kind of elaborate on any of those words?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is done subversively. I think when you hear the vocal, you think it sounds a little weird because it's like I'm saying technology is our friend, but really it doesn't sound that genuine because of the way it's done. It's done in a very experimental way. So it's almost like in the process of saying technology our friend, the technology is kind of failing us in a way.
Yeah,
And so that was kind of the idea there is to kind of let the viewer, let the listener decide what was really going on there. But we're really, setting up a situation where we're getting people to question uh, I can't remember what was it, the 1932 World's Fair, where they talked about how all these advancements were coming and how the future was coming and how it was going to make your life easier and better. And I've really kind of pushed back on that idea. And specifically on this album, I think that's kind of what we're saying in a way is that is it really making our lives better? We're so connected, but we no one really talks to each other anymore, and there's all this convenience in your life, but your life is far more busy than it's ever been. And so, is that really a good quality of life kind of thing? So, that's kind of at play here. We're not really being didactic by any means. We're not really trying to tell anybody how to think or how to believe or how to feel about the music. We really want that to be their process, but that's kind of what we're putting out there. And I'm glad you tapped into the idea that this is a concept album. It's very well arranged and orchestrated, that it's a constant kind of thought throughout about questioning about humans and their relationship to technology. Are we really better off now than we were?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, when you said that technology is our friend, I was like, what does he mean? Does he mean that? Because that did come through. Like, is he being facetious or is he saying, and like the visual art and all the different, experimental art that you do, Don, I'm sure you want the viewer to be able to make those decisions for themselves, and you're doing the same with this concept album. And it's a beautiful thing. So I think it's a great choice to have Biochip open it all up. I really like that it's also a collaboration with your son, Dave, because it just kind of shows you guys have always, I think, Don, with all the music you've done, you've invited many different people to kind of collaborate and see where things go, kind of like an automatic drawing session, just see what happens. And um, yeah, we go tumbling down left and right. We don't know where we've gone since 1932. It's almost been 100 years since they told us our lives are going to be better. Look at all this. And are they? I don't know. But we are doing this right now. You guys were able to collaborate through technology. But when is it going to be too much? Or when will it take over? When will the kids that are younger, not be able to look at each other in the eyes anymore because they're so used to being on their phones?
Yeah. Yeah, I see that in our school, teaching high school, the phones, lots of kids have digital lives. Like they don't go outside or they don't talk to anyone. They come to school and sure they're sociable here, but then they go back home and they kind of hole up in their room and it's either watching videos or playing video games. And that's a real common theme that they talk about at school is just kind of isolating themselves and then having friends online. So school is kind of a special place for them where they're actually other human beings around.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, we kind of all grew up where that was just a normal thing. We didn't have anything to kind of lose ourselves in or even
Yeah.
have a different life beyond school. It was just who you knew. Um, I find that interesting, especially when I'm thinking of track 4 about Never Been. I wanted to ask you guys about that. You have never been known before till now. What did you guys mean by that? I like that. It resonated a lot.
Did it really?
Yeah, it did. It's like,
That's cool.
yeah, maybe I haven't like not like known as in like, a popular figure or something, but more about myself and how I've kind of grown with my self-worth and myself, just being a human. What were you guys going for with that?
Well, the idea initiated around the way that our country has fallen in love with. I don't want to be controversial at all, but the whole idea of the gun culture in our country and how now we're having these incidences where people are getting shot and people are being you know turned into heroes in some ways for killing other people. And that was kind of where that song started. I actually had sent Dave a little longer track, and I had actually recorded some video game guns being shot in the background. And I sent it to Dave, and then Dave takes out the guns, which was great because it would have been too much, too offensive for the listener.
Yes.
But that's really where that came from. It was specifically in reaction to when uh, the president was he was attempted assassination, I guess you could say, whether you believe that or not. But um, that's kind of where it came from, was that kind of idea. I wrote it right after that incident happened, and then I thought about how people are getting known for something that you wouldn't normally be known for, but it's just this one moment, this one event, this one pull of the trigger, and then uh, they're being treated as heroes by some people, by future uh, people who idolize them and then go on to do the same thing. And I just thought it was kind of a weird thing that I wanted to call attention to.
Good way to do it, I think, definitely. Um, and without technology, that these people wouldn't be put on such pedestals or be, how quickly we can share, like, oh, this guy did this and now he's, oh, now this other kid wants to do that, or yeah, it's glamorizing this idea of violence.
Glamorizing. That's a good way
Yeah,
of putting it. Yeah. But
yeah.
I'm interested in how Dave treated that song when he got it. Do you remember working on that song, Dave?
Yeah, I stripped it down. I decomposed the entire thing because the gunshots were really bothering me. And so I took those out. And then there was something else that didn't seem to fit. And then I took that out. And so pretty soon I had taken everything out but the vocals. And I felt like, here's the humanity in this song right here. This and I was compelled by the words myself. And so from that, some people call it a chant. I think someone called it. From that, the whole song was built around that vocal track. I think there are a few things that Don had sent me that are still in that song, but for the most part, it became completely different than what Don's original song he sent me.
And
And
I would just like to say that this is what's really unique about our process, I think, is that I'm not standing over him or over looking over his shoulder saying, "Oh, I think you should leave that in there." I just let him do his thing. And then he comes up with something really brilliant. And that's what I think really makes our music work and helps create this inventiveness and uniqueness around what we do is because I'm doing it in the comfort of my own studio. Then I send it to Dave. There's a certain autonomy that you have in doing so that gives it this authenticity, as it were. And then Dave has the ability, free reign to just do whatever he does. And every time he does something, it's like amazing. When he sends it back, it's like, oh my God, it just blows me away that he's coming up with that mix. So I think that's really valuable. The way in which we've been able to work across the internet has given us a really unique approach.
yeah, I agree. And like whatever I do, it's for the benefit of the song. Like I'm not there to show off or dominate or anything. It's like whatever supports what Don has given me, that's where the song goes. And when I listen to him for the first time, it kind of speaks to me. I kind of hear something that's not there yet, and then I try to build around that. So, and then the same thing goes for Don. It's like whatever he sends me, I work on. And most I'd say 98% of the stuff he's ever sent me, it gets turned into a Face Urchin song. There have been a few instances where I'm just like, I just can't, I don't know. There's something about that just is not speaking to me. But for the most part, everything he throws at me, it's like, yes, we've got this.
And
And
then 2 years
it's
later, I'll send him the song he said no to, and he's like, I love it.
yeah, yeah,
I love that.
headspace, but it's really fun. I swear to God, there's nothing better than working on a Face Urchin song. And it's done that's what I've done at my kitchen table. It's done outside on the porch. It's, wherever I can take my computer and my headphones, I'll do it. And it's really been a wonderful process all these years. It's really kept me, just loving life, working on music. It's just really, it's part of me, part of what Don is. And we've known each other for so long that it's very comfortable. I'm like, oh, I know his voice. It's like when I'm working on a Face Urchin song, Don is with me every day. I hear him singing over and over again because it takes multiple times to go through a song to get it right. And so he may lay it down. I don't know how many times he rehearsed or whatever, but I probably listen to a Face Urchin song like 100 times. I am not joking. I play it back, add this, take this, it just the whole process of creating a song. And so by the end of an album, I can't quite listen to it, like I want to. I'm like,
Object.
hey, let me just set this down for a month, and then it comes back, and then it's just great. So
That's
yeah,
pretty good. That makes sense. Most musicians say that just about their own work or anything they work on. I'm sure producers as well. But I like what Don said, like something that you may have been like, this isn't gonna work or this isn't gonna vibe right now. Then like 2 years later, there's a new, I don't know, life has happened and new ears or new
Yep.
things. And we've all done that with albums, that I feel like I hated. I thought this was the worst thing ever. Like for example, Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. That was like I was in high school. I was like, I don't get it. And then I was bored and I had to clean my room and I was like, I'll try this again. And it was like the greatest thing in the world. So it's funny how we can like, just take a minute or a time will kind of change our ears and things can be mended and looked at in a different way.
Yes, I've definitely had that experience many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Rattle Them Bones is a really interesting song because, um, people have really gravitated towards it. It's gotten the most plays so far from the album. But it's got an elephant seal. I did some recordings on the coast of California and used the live recordings of elephant seals and put that in as a track for the song. And then Dave decided to keep it, uh, for the ultimate final mix. But that's such a compelling song. It's like we had lived in Minnesota for 3.5 years, Ginger and I, and she had worked a lot with indigenous folks, indigenous artists. And I remember hearing about these mounds, at the burial mounds in and around the Twin Cities, and remembering how you know the way in which they were buried, and just the way the mounds were treated later by uh, the people that came to the area after the Native Americans. And it's just kind of sad and tragic in a way. But then I was thinking also about technologue as a concept, and I was thinking about the people who mine lithium, and so it's kind of a mix of the two in a weird way. And that's where I think there's some strangeness to the song that people can't quite wrap their head around, maybe that makes it compelling. I'm not quite sure why people find that song so compelling, but I really loved making it.
I love it too. It's one of the ones I put stars around. I think when I first played it on the Wizard, I had thought, was this like an older song that you had redone? Had I heard this before? It gave me this like nostalgic feeling, like I had already heard it before in my life.
It's very nostalgic. Yeah. I don't know. Is that something you did, Dave?
No, I don't. Face Urchins is my influence. So it's not like, oh, let's make it sound like this band. No, it's like, let's make it sound like the Face Urchins. And so, like I said, the songs speak to me. So that song, those words, the ukulele, it's just, I hear it and then something comes to me and I just try it out. I'll jam to it for a while, lay some stuff down, and then something will stick. And then I go from there. And it's a great process. I really like it. I don't know. I don't have no idea what I'm going to do with the song when I first get it. I'm like, oh, let me listen to it. Okay, let me listen to it again. And after 3 or 4 times, it's like, I hear this in there. Or what happens if I put this on? How is that going to sound? And then it just builds from there. And I think Rattle and Bones, it has a good story. Like if you listen to the lyrics, there's a progression there of something very interesting happening. And the sea lions become not they become kind of aliens or something. I don't know. It's kind of they become this thing that Don's talking about in the song. And so it's really cool when you hear that because you're not really sure if what is that. So really that was
It's like the mix of those things. Yeah, the cat that creates this other thing.
yeah. So it's really interesting. I think that's one of the compelling things about that song is that those sea lion sounds are like, that sounds familiar, but what is it really?
Yeah, right.
And I like to think about with the elephant seals that I believe it's cartilage in their nose, but I think it's something with their throat that actually makes that sound. But I always imagined that it was the I would call them bones in their nose, but they're not. It's cartilage. But that's where the rattle them bones kind of came from, was that sound is rattling from their bones, but it's not.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Uh,
cool.
And then how you might think about your ancestors and them being buried in a mound, or people who were mining lithium, and here that we're using smartphones and tablets, but we don't know the people who mined the lithium to make the battery, and they're just forgotten. And that's kind of where that all kind of convenes in one song.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that a lot, actually. Thanks for the explanation on that. Rattle Them Bones. We'll
Yeah.
definitely be playing
I
that. We
just
played it,
want
but we'll play it again. Go ahead.
No, I just want people to think a little bit more about what we're all doing in this life.
It's a very good thing to have people think about where does things come from. I don't think we think about that at all. We just have, even electricity, I think about that a lot. We're so used to this light turning on and the power in our car and all these things, but like nobody's thinking about how did we get it, or even just, who made like a simple motor in my refrigerator, like things like that. There's all these different people, different, work had to go into this. And I love that Rattle and Bones is kind of a homage to the people that were working in these lithium mines. What a interesting, did not expect that answer when you told me that, That's
I
cool.
spent time at the Salton Sea. There's this Salton Sea down in Southern California, and I was doing an art show down there, and I remember people talking about how I guess a bunch of some Chinese investors are very interested in mining the lithium from the Salton Sea. And it's something I'd never thought of before because it's a pretty much an uninhabitable area. It's a man-made lake, but now that the lake is uh, receded, apparently a lot of the dust that's there, which is some of its lithium, gets in the air and it becomes very hazardous to be there. But it's become this very sought after area now because of the lithium. So I thought that's kind of what got me thinking about the lithium miners.
Interesting. That's cool. I know
Yeah, so the art feeds into the music and vice versa.
it does. It does. Tell me about the art on the front cover. I know Dave said that he's got a little graphic design background. I don't know who made it, if it was you, Don, if it was Dave. I'm wondering. It's very
Oh,
interesting. Tell us.
Well, that's another
well,
collaboration we have going on. Like Don made that artwork. And then, in fact, most of our album covers are either sculptures of Don or drawings of Don. And um, and then he shows them to me. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." So I just used that as the cover, and then because it was Technolog, which is kind of a cross between, yeah, the digital and the analog. So I put a sine wave in the background there.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, yeah, and then on the inside, because it has a hot dog on, because it's made out of hot dog
Yes.
buns.
Faith made out of hot dogs, everybody.
Yeah. So I thought, you know what? Mustard on a hot dog looks kind of like a sine wave. So I merged the two there together. It's
That's awesome.
kind of a funny joke, but sort of a commentary on things, So
It resonates a lot
and
here
the,
in
the crows,
Chicago
the
because
cro-
of
the,
hot
the
dogs.
crows, there are crows there that make up the hair on the figure.
I didn't even notice that. That's so cool.
You see the crows?
Yeah, I see the pros. I just thought it was like a weird, toupee.
that's what I thought.
There's little feet. Oh, that's amazing. Good
Yeah,
job.
crow's feet,
Oh,
crow's
fun. Come through.
crow's feet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What inspired that? The idea of crow's feet or
I've been working, I'm a painter and a sculptor and all that, but the last couple of years, I've been making digital collages on my cell phone. And I just combine random things together and say, oh, that looks cool. And then I take a screenshot of it and I save it. And this was one of those things that I found a picture of a hot dog online and I was like, this is weird. And I copied it. And then I thought, oh, that kind of looks like the shape of a face. And then I thought I had this other crow that I had copied and I was like, oh, because I needed something to make hair, and I thought, oh, I'll just use this crow, and then it worked in the weirdest way.
Really works.
Oh,
I
I
would
mean, this
never
is this sort of spontaneity thing, surrealism, like happenstance, things by chance. I mean, that's we're trying to allow that stuff to happen because that's working with the subconscious. We only use a small portion of our brain power, and so I think in a lot of ways, this automatic writing, like you mentioned, um, is a way to kind of tap into the better part of your brain that's not being utilized, the subconscious.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely some it's harkening back to some data kind of stuff, which is amazing to have this, in our society, which we do, but I don't know if a kid would even know what Dadaism is. But to me, this is like, 2025 Dadaism. This is pretty cool. Even it's just a hot dog in a bun on the
Yeah.
bottom and two on the top, and like that makes a mouth so well. Um, what are the eyes made out of, or what was the idea of the eyes?
There are CDs.
Oh, cool. No, I'm like looking. You guys ever do that where you try to like enlarge an actual image that you can't? And I'm like, what?
That's Technolog right there.
I'm like, I want to see even farther into that eye. That's so cool. That's really, really cool. Thank you.
So it's kind of a meta thing where the eyes are the CD that's inside the case.
That is
So
awesome.
you're deep.
I love this. This is really cool. I would have never thought about the mustard with the wave, but that totally makes sense because we totally do it, in that shape. It's like
Yeah.
you can't not
And
put that on like
and
that.
all the backgrounds are AI generated too.
Oh my gosh, look at that. How far we've come from MySpace to AI generated.
Yeah. So that's on purpose, right? It's like, oh, this is great. Let's use
Fits with
called
the theme.
technical. Let's use AI. And in fact, there's a little quote in there from AI. And
I love it. We're talking to Dave Wave, Don Porcella from Face Urchins. You can find more information on Face Urchins by going to faceurchins.com. That's like the home for everything there. And it's a nice website. I learned a lot about you guys there. I feel like I'm glad that you have a space for it. Who keeps up with the website?
I
Uh,
do.
nice. I'm
And then I consult with Dave and we do it together, but I kind of do the edits and stuff. I try to take some stuff off his plate because he's doing all the heavy lifting. My
Yeah,
job's easy because I just make these songs and I send them to Dave and he's the one who toils over them.
I love that. And tell me about technologue as a word. It's a French word, right?
Uh, of or relating to technology, it's kind of a loose term. Could mean a variety of different things, but it really is. We didn't want to nail it. We didn't want to hit it on the head too precise because we wanted to leave enough open to the viewer to think about. Um, Somebody even mentioned they thought the name was Travel Log, I think, before, which I think is kind of an interesting way of interpreting this as a journey in some ways, because we feel like the album being a concept album is kind of a journey that you take through the album from the beginning, from Biochip all the way through till to Table Games, which is a live, it's a sound collage that we made based on some actual events that we participated in. I think one of them is at an arcade. One of the sounds comes from an arcade, and then another one is two of us. I think Ginger and I were playing ping pong, and then Dave added a couple other sounds, and he has that kind of escalating sound where it seems like things are speeding up in that song, Table Games, which I really like. You think at the end you're gonna bring things down, but it's kind of like almost picking up in a way, uh, that last song. So I really like the way Dave handled that.
It's probably fun for you guys too to be able to hear from each other more in depth about the way you made this record because,
Absolutely.
yeah, you probably don't just sit here and talk about this all the
No,
time.
we
It,
don't.
We're on
yeah,
to the next thing.
yeah, right. You guys are constantly putting out new things and it's beautiful. I do like the idea that Dave, you mentioned, I want to make sure I got the name right. Yeah, Swirling Winds. Yeah, Swirling Winds, For the Sake of Love, and Rattle Them Bones. Those are all three in a row too. So they're kind of a part of the journey that maybe as a whole is like a three-piece part that you really enjoyed. If you could sum up those three songs, like what part of the journey is that?
Don's kind of the conceptual dude here, so
Don, you
he
can take that.
he
Yeah.
writes the lyrics and he came up with the album name. He does the song order and all of that. So I kind of defer to him on those bigger concepts.
Concept questions for sure. What do you think, Don?
Well, I think, I think the first song, Biochip, is really kind of introduces us to that 1932 World's Fair because we're using a found recording from that World's Fair where they're basically talking about how your life is going to be a lot easier. And then I think, you know, uh, I want to bring in the viewer to the work too, and I think those three songs do that. I think when you talk about love, that's such a universal message that I think hopefully it brings people into that conversation. It's something that they can relate to. But it's, the song is called For the Sake of Love. What are we really doing? We should build community with each other. We should love each other. Those are the things that are the most important, I feel like. So that's really to try to bring people along at that point after the first kind of couple of songs, and then the last piece is really kind of they're riding in the car and they're riding along in the car with us and we're on a journey together. But that's kind of where I think where we come by their house and we pick them up is in those three songs.
That's that's
Nice.
great. That's really great. This is a great album, Face Urchins, Technologue here on the Wizard. We're going to be playing a lot of this music. Definitely, like you said, kind of sprinkling it in. We'll do some before, during, and at the end. Um, what was I going to ask you about? Oh yeah, so we talked about the artwork. Oh yeah, if I was going to ask, just to kind of sum up who you guys are as people, who is Dave Wave? What does Dave Wave want to be remembered as?
Uh,
Good
as an
question.
as an artist, as a musician, as a good human being, as a role model, being a teacher is a lot of it's a big responsibility to not only conduct myself in the classroom, but also out in the community where I'm seen. It's a small community, so I have uh, a standard of living and the way I conduct myself is I think pretty true to my character. So I'm really happy with my career and I love the fact that I'm a musician. It just drives me crazy. It would drive me crazy if I was really into music and I couldn't play it. So Dave Wave it's just kind of a fun name. I've had it for a long time. It's what I call my stage name. And uh yeah, I think that's who I am. I'm trying to be a good role model and a kind person through life.
That was a really good answer. It's not easy to answer that question,
I
so
know.
so good job. Uh,
Thank you.
Don, I want you to answer the same. Who is Don
Oh
Porcella?
my God.
I know.
I just want to say that Dave is all those things, by the way. He has been a very stand-up guy, and what I really love about him and our collaboration is that we don't just have an idea and let the idea fall away. We take an idea and we make it into something. And that's always been I think our main purpose in this band is to take these ideas and turn them into songs. And for me, I really want to be remembered as somebody who asks interesting questions, who creates dialogue with people and builds community. I think it's really important for me, especially in the last 5, 10 years, really thinking about creating space for other people. I want to honor other people. I want to. The name Face Urchins came from a Charles Dickens novel. A friend of ours mentioned it to us. He was thinking about the faceless street urchins, and so his idea was to put a face on the urchins, and so that's where we got our name. Was came about thinking about those that are underappreciated, underserved. You know, people who are you kind of walk by and you don't even think about. I remember when Dave and I were working in the corporate gig that we had working in healthcare, we would spend our lunchtime. We made a couple of videos. I remember in one of them, we would go and we would find these people just walking along the street or sleeping in the park or whatever. We made a whole video about it, and it's really a real main part of our whole message. One of the first songs we wrote was about the Rodney King beating. So we're very emotionally connected people, and we want to really speak to these things that are happening in and around us and bring awareness to them. But most importantly, bring people together. So I would love for people to say, Don created space for people, and Don helped bring people together.
That's wonderful. I mean, you guys are doing so much with your art. It's not about just you. It's about the community. It's about bringing people together. It's about having this persona that, like you're saying, Dave, where you're responsible for it. You know, you're trying to be a good human, and that's huge. And if that's resonating through your music and your art, and you can share that with people in an audible way, what a beautiful thing to be remembered for. What a beautiful thing to have and to hold. So I'm grateful to have it. I'm grateful to be a part of your guys' journey and happy to play it on the Wizard anytime. You guys are really wonderful and means a lot to have you on the air.
Thank you very much.
You're very
We
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Yeah, I mean, homemade, 100% original, honest, hard-working music, hard-hitting music, unique, infectious, all these words. It definitely, I was checking them off. Like, yep, this all this all resonates. And yeah, you guys keep doing what you're doing and keep us informed because anytime you want to come to Chicago, we'd love to have you.
Well, we just might do that.
Seriously, come. Seriously, we'll make sure you're taken care of.
Well, Dave's gonna not teach in a couple of years, so I think we'll be able to plan something and come on out
Yeah.
together.
Absolutely. That would be great. I know you've got some ties out here, Don, so you can make it
Yep,
happen. Yeah. Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for taking time all the way from Cali for us. We really appreciate it. And
Thank
keep doing what you're doing. Keep being good humans and keep sending us music. We love it. We thank you so much. Face Urchins. Album is out now, all streaming platforms, and we'll be playing it on the Wizard. So tune us in.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. Bye. Nice to meet you.